Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Today I'm going to be talking about a newly solved code from GOROD KROVI that my buddy SaggyBerries has just solved. He said to me, Milo, I've got this code from GOROD KROVI. I know that it's a Baudot code or Baudot code or however you pronounce it, I don't really know. Let's solve it. So I was like, hell yeah, let's solve it. Let's jump right in and start working through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you very briefly the method that we use to actually solve the code itself. And then in a moment, I'll show you the message and talk about the implications of what the cipher actually says. So the way it works, the way Baudot works is that each of these dots, okay, above this horizontal line that goes across each line of text that you have, okay, each of these is a letter. So one dot above, one dot below is a letter. Two dots below is a letter. One dot below is a space. So we're going to do a cross sort of there. We're going to do a vertical line there to indicate that that's a space. Then we can keep going. That one dot below is a letter. Two dots below there is a letter. And the way it works is that you can either have, you've got, basically these are your maximum number of dots that you can fill in, and you can have any combination of those 5 dots, as long as they're above and below this horizontal line here. So, for example, with this first one, you can see we've got a dot above in the first position there above it. We've got a dot below in the first position below it. And so we look at a table like this, and this basically says, okay, these are all the possible combinations of things that you can have. If you go one dot above and one dot below, that's going to give you, as you can see here, an I, okay? And you'll notice, by the way, that it could also be a figure, okay? So I could also be whatever figure that's supposed to be. This is quite low resolution, but there's a figure there. But the way it turns out is that it starts off on letters here, and then there's actually a specific character that you can use to switch from your letters to your figures, and then you can switch back from figures to letters. So we work along, so it says I there, then the next one, if we take a look, it's 2 dots below, so that's going to be the N, so in, and then that's a space, like I said, that 1 dot below there is a space, and then it's going to be the, and then beginning, and we keep going through all the lines, etc., 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 and we end up with this. In the beginning, there were only the keepers. But then, corruption of the dark ether leached its way into the realm and twisted the minds of some of the keepers. These keepers turned to shadows of their former selves and eventually became the APOTHICONs. Now, this is interesting for several reasons. It's interesting because it affirms our idea that keepers and APOTHICONs were once the same species, and some corruption due to the ether caused them to split apart and diverge and no longer be this one coherent species, and instead you end up with these sort of 2 warring factions. It's also cool because it again brings up this idea of corrupting the keepers. In the Der Eisendrache Easter egg, what happens? A keeper becomes corrupted. So clearly, there is something out there, some process that can cause that to happen that is not associated with just the dark ether leaching its way into the realm. Maybe man can grasp that process, grasp that sort of concept, that knowledge, and use it for his own gain, use it for her own will, use it for whatever. In this case, for corrupting a keeper to stop us from doing the Der Eisendrache Easter egg, which is seemingly what Groff does on the moon. I also think it's cool that they're talking here about the dark ether. So it almost sounds like there's a dark ether and a normal ether, or a dark ether and a light ether, or something like that. Just the fact that they decided to throw on the dark there when talking about the ether makes me feel like they needed to make a distinction there. And so whether we'll hear about a light ether elsewhere or something like that, I don't know, but I thought it was cool to sort of note and kind of store away in our heads for later, regardless. Also, fun to see them talking about the fact that the keepers turned to shadows of their former selves. We've heard that one before as well. So that's pretty much it for this cipher, guys. I'm not going to go into too much depth right now because there are loads of other ciphers talking about the keepers and the APOTHICONs and their relationships with not only one another, but also with humans and things like that. And I want to explore those in more depth, but I need to consider all the ciphers before I can do so. So stay tuned to my channel for more videos on this very topic and more cipher solutions. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.